Welcome back. It's been an interesting topic at times that pops up during our program, and especially during the news, and that is, classical education and learning, Western civilization. Is it really being taught? I'm really honored to have back with us today Mark Tapson. He's a Schulman Fellow on Popular Culture at the David Horowitz Freedom Center and the author of Front Page magazine. He's quite the guy. You can go to horowitzfreedomcenter.org is the website. There's the picture of that landing page, horowitzfreedomcenter.org. Mark, good to see you again. How are you, friend? Oh, I haven't got your audio.
I'm good, Perry. Thanks for having me back. The honor's mine.
Okay, there you go. We got you now. I got a short time, so I want to squeeze a lot in here. I understand the Pentagon is putting together a new educational program emphasizing Western civilization and classical learning, and even the Christianity. This is quite a switch. Obviously, it's getting pushback. What do you think about it?
Well, I'm totally in favor of it, of course, but let me give you a little, and your listeners, a little background. As you mentioned, the Department of Defense operates about 160 schools over 11 countries, and that they educate about 70,000 students who are the children of active duty military or civilian service members. And what our conversation stems from is this Associated Press report, this AP report that came out a few days ago, which expresses concerns that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth wants to, as they put it, redirect that education toward patriotic values and classical learning and put a new emphasis on Western civilization. Now, to ordinary people like me and you, Perry, this seems like a good thing. I mean, don't we want our military and their children to embrace patriotic values? You'd think it would give them something, give them more reason to believe that they're fighting for something worth defending. But the Associated Press are concerned that, as they put it again, conservatives have eyed these schools as a testing ground for reshaping education. And again, this seems like a good thing to ordinary people because somebody needs to reshape education in this country. Under left-wing dominance for over a half a century, it's become a disaster. Younger generations have never been so dumbed down, and this has been actually an intentional project on the part of the left's long march through the institutions, as they called it, to capture the culture and indoctrinate young Americans to reject things like patriotism and Western values and capitalism. So, yes, our youth are in desperate need of a conservative reshaping of education. These AP writers, before I forget, they go on to mention and worry about the fact that the Western civilization course that Hegseth wants to implement will use a textbook published by a conservative publisher with lesson plans done in partnership with Hillsdale, which is a conservative Christian school. So all of these factors, the Christianity, the purported conservatism, these are things that make the left very nervous because they run against the grain of the indoctrination, the anti-Western indoctrination that the left has been pushing for so long in education.
All right, so two things here pop up. One is the fact that they'd be upset is evidence that they've had control over another narrative. And B, why don't we just tell the AP to take a hike? You're just a news organization propagating false news. I mean, am I being too simple here?
Well, a lot of people are beginning to tell news media outlets like the AP to take a hike because trust in journalism, as we all know, has absolutely collapsed in recent years. And that's part of the reason is that most of us now are very much aware of the propaganda that they push and the constant left-leaning bias that the mainstream media promotes.
All right, so there's another part of this that's interesting. You can't really cover adequately and truthfully and authentically Western civilization without the central role of Christianity. That's probably the thing that's got them bugged, right?
Well, that's certainly a part of it because for the left, you have to keep in mind that anything conservative or Christian is simply bad and scary. And so these are the fact that the AP article that I mentioned constantly uses the word conservative and Christian. These are sort of like, what's the terminology? Dog whistles to the left, to their leftist audience, that something scary is happening in education and that Pete Hegseth is behind it. And Hegseth, as we all know, is openly Christian. I mean, he's got Christian tattoos on his body. He leads his people, his team, and his troops in prayer. So he's openly Christian, and this, of course, very much bothers the left. They feel like if he's Christian, then he must be subversive. There's something subversive to them about Christianity and conservatism, which is ironic because it's actually the left that has been the subversive element in politics and culture over the last half century or so at least.
So, Mark, you track a lot of stuff for you there at the Horowitz Freedom Center. It appears to now that the left has done an amazing job, if I can say, behind closed doors, under the covers, but now all that's been exposed and ripped off, and people are, realizing what it's all about. And then you have this another huge radical shift to the left with this democratic socialist America. Do you think our culture is waking up to not only what has happened, but the danger that's in front of us?
Yes and no, Perry. I mean, some elements of the culture are waking up. I mean, when we talk about the culture has been essentially captured by the left through this long march through the institutions that I mentioned earlier. They own now, to a great extent, if not entirely, the entertainment arena, education, the news media, and they're not going to let go of that. A lot of it's been exposed to people with eyes to see and ears to hear. There's still a large element of the population out there that doesn't pay very much attention to the news, or that's left-leaning anyway, or considers itself Democrat, and they're just not buying this counterculture movement on the part of conservatism, which Donald Trump, I must say, has gone a long way toward helping, because conservative politicians have not been good in the past about addressing issues of culture. A lot of conservative politicians just do not get culture. Donald Trump does get it, partly because he came out of the culture. He's not a political person, or I should say he's not a lifelong politician. And so he came out of the culture. He's familiar with it. He understands how it works. And then you have a few other politicians like Florida Governor DeSantis, who also understands the culture. But for the most part, conservatives are getting a very late start on addressing these cultural issues and understanding how to fight them. So the short answer to your question is that yes, many of us are waking up and we're rejecting the cultural bias of the left, but it's going to be a long uphill battle to remove that deeply entrenched bias from the culture and get back to anything approximating a balanced perspective in the culture.
I got only a couple of minutes left, but there's a silver lining here. Young people are, especially young men, they're investigating faith. George Barna backs that up. I just had a gentleman on the air. We're talking about how young people are now becoming entrepreneurs, over 560,000 applications of Gen Z to start their own business. So it appears to me that the nonsense is hitting the wall, and there's a silver lining here. Do you sense it, Mark?
Yes, I think I might even go so far as to say that we have the momentum on our side at the moment. But on the other, the flip side of that coin is that there's also a surge in far left radicalism, even among people who are already far left, like the Democrat Party. You referred, I think, at the beginning of our talk to the Democratic Socialist Party. That is surging in popularity in this country. So I think there are, yes, on our side, there's a waking up and there's a counterculture movement that's got the momentum, but they're not going to give up on the other side. As my friend, the author Michael Walsh, always says, the left never sleeps, they never stop, they never give up. And so that's the conflict that we have to keep in mind and be aware of all the time and never get complacent about it.
fascinating. All right. Well, you guys got a lot going on. Check out HorowitzFreedomCenter.org. That's where Mark there is Schumann Fellow there at the Popular Cultural Center. And an amazing organization doing a great work. There's a picture of the landing page, HorowitzFreedomCenter.org. Well, Mark, I don't know when you sleep.
It's not very often, frankly.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for your time, buddy. God bless you.